Welcome to this week's edition of the eVetSites Open Orientation. My name is Jose Galvin, and I'll be helping you out today, hopefully, with some information about search engine optimization. For those that don't know, my name's Jose. I've been here for about 7 years. I have a background in tech, not in veterinary medicine, although I do own animals, and have grown to learn quite a bit about the practice from having veterinarians here at VIN be my peers, as well as traveling to conferences and all that sort of thing. If anyone has questions throughout the process, I urge you to please go ahead and add questions here into the chat window. You can always shoot us emails as well, support@evetsites.com, and we'll be glad to help. And let me go ahead and pull something else up here. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to start with some general ideas, some general concepts about SEO, and we just wanted to kind of give an overview and talk about the things that we can do. One of our one of the things that we do here is at eVetSites is we empower you to go ahead and to both edit your own site and to take control of things. We, of course, are here to help out and to show you how to do things. But the main thing is we want to teach you how to do it, so then you can go ahead and do this on your own. With SEO, there's a lot of unknown there. I know there's a lot of things that people, myths and misconceptions out there, and we're here to try to make it as easy as possible for you to understand. Today, I'm going to use my own veterinarian's site, the Midtown Animal Hospital, as the test. And so if one of the things that we do here is we're going to talk about how to edit the site, how to do things to improve your SEO and improve the search. So we'll cover some general topics today. Okay, first thing that I want to talk about is Google Analytics and Google Webmaster tools. These are free tools that you can get from Google. These they're readily available. We've got them installed on most every page. So if you need it, we've got it installed for you. If you don't have it installed, we can do that. It's a simple process. And what Google Analytics does, really quickly, just an overview, is it gives you some good statistics on how folks get to your website. So, for example, here we can find out, some new and returning clients. We can find out how many, how many times they come onto the page. You can even find out the type of devices that folks are using. So, for example, if you wanted to check to see how many folks are using an iPhone versus something else, you can do that here. Okay, and so the other thing you can do is in the Search Console, which is the Google Webmaster tools, this is where you can get the statistics on links to your site, finding out about, you can actually submit your site to Google. So, for example, if there is a new page that you've worked on, you can actually have Google come by, and you can request that they come by to take a look at the site. These folks right here, it's a new domain. They just purchased it. And so if I do a search for this, you'll see that they only have right now one page. Google has only found one of their pages on the site. And the site has tons of pages. As you can see here, they've got a sitemap, services, about us, etc. Um, okay, and so these two tools, the Google Analytics and the Google Webmaster tools, are both free. We can certainly install them if you don't have them on your site. Let us know, and we'll be glad to help. Okay, the second thing we want to talk about is, and we get a lot of questions about this, is what you can actually do to the website. Your site comes pre-built with a lot of content that's, for lack of a better term, some generic content. Here, there's some well-established full-service small animal hospital. This is one of the things that we're going to see in a majority of the our the clients. So if you can change this, if you can put original content in here, that'll improve things, because what Google really looks for is unique content that'll show up. Talk about the things that you do. So you can see here, all these other folks have this well-established small animal veterinary hospital. It's not to say that that's not the truth. It could very well be. But you may want to just mix it up a little bit. Talk about, we're a small animal, vet hospital, veterinary hospital, and we provide whatever you want to do to kind of just mix up some of the text that we give you will help out. And then the other thing is you want to talk about what you do and where you do it. So for example, here, they do avian, reptile, pocket pet examinations. I know that's not something that everybody does. They do indoor boarding, dentistry, all these different things. And this is a very simple thing. This is basically just you talking about the different things that the practice does, and you know that better than anyone. And so you can certainly talk about that here. Talk about the ties to the community, whatever content you can do to make this unique to yourself. The other thing you can do is, of course, talk about the staff and the doctors. Right here, these folks haven't done such a thing, but if you have a page that you can do, certainly talk about them. Talk about the doctor, where they studied. Like, for example, here, I started this for her. Dr. Katie Pierce, a veterinarian. She's very nice. She lives in Davis, loves Midtown, Sacramento. Whatever kind of community information is in there, any sort of local involvement. The doctors run a 5K. There's a fundraiser every year for the shelter. Whatever things that tie you to the community will help your SEO. All right. The other thing that you can do, and you may have noticed on here, is that I've added some links. Now, these links make it easier for both the computers that come to crawl the page and the visitors to your site. So if you notice on your home page, here there's a link that says Our Veterinary Practice. So if you click on this, it takes you to this page. And then this page links you to the services. Now you may say, well, what's the point of that, since we already have these menu items over here? And here is why. If we shrink this down and we get into kind of the mobile mode, the menu disappears. Now that leaves you with just this up here. And so if you don't see this menu, then this will help you. Then it's easier for you to just click on something than to use this thing up here, because you've got to click twice basically for everything. Much easier to just go down, click this, scroll down, tap that. Simple. And at the end of this page, we even have a contact us, so that way we have it full circle, where we teach people how to go ahead and get to the place to actually call you and set up an appointment. So those are simple things, not very technical. A lot of SEO is not technical at all. It really is more about just the actual content and how the page is structured. So having these links, having the pages tied together, and then other things like putting in tags for the images. If you notice here, this text that shows up, which is called alt text, appears on almost every image. And so we want to have that so that if you mouse over, it tells you, a little bit something about the page. Google's guidelines themselves say, use a little bit of description, use a form of conversational English. Don't just cram it with keywords. That doesn't help. It's not something that's that's beneficial. So just talk about what the picture's about or what the page is about. So to modify it, if you don't have this, you can log into your site, click the key, put in your username and password, and then once you're in the site logged in, click on Edit Content. While in Edit Content, you can just double-click the image, and you'll see this image description field. Here is where you're going to put the small sentence about what the page is about. You can do this in a couple of different ways. You can put, name of the practice, what the page is about, and your location, or you can write a short little sentence that just says, about Midtown Animal Hospital, whatever the case may be. Every image should be different because every image is unique. Hopefully you're not repeating the same image, and hopefully you've got different content on different pages. Okay, and I've got some guidelines here. If you go to, I'll put these in the chat window. So as you can see, we've got some examples. Veterinary clinic, Anytown, California, all that sort of thing. Okay, there's other. So here are the other examples for the home page: vet clinic, veterinarian serving these different locations. Welcome to our site. If you notice here on the home page for this hospital, he actually listed some of these places. So Davis, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, Elk Grove. These are some it's a variety of places. She's got, she's located in the state capital. There are places that are closer, but she's certainly within her rights to go ahead and appeal to folks from these different locations. Maybe if a place is closer, but it's not a residential area, you don't want to include it. So, for example, the rail yards, it's mostly an industrial section. There's some warehouses, things like that. But perhaps she does want to, reach out to other folks. So, you know your communities. You can talk about that. Putting them on the home page is one great spot to do so. But how the search engines rank actually take into account at all the content from all the pages. So it doesn't matter if it's just the one. If you put it, for example, under Contact Us, this helps as well. Because then we've got, one of the ranking signals is how many times a search term appears. And so if we've got Midtown Sacramento showing up, 20 times, and another practice has it showing up 10 times, then you've got a little bit of an edge up on the other practice. So, and that's not to say that you can put these terms on every page. It might be a little awkward to put it under spaying and neutering, but you can certainly put it on the About Us page, where you talk about where it is that you do your work, or anything that's talking about the page location. Okay, and so that's what you can do with the image tags. Some other things that you can do include changing your titles. These titles here, if we do a search for well, what do you know? Here they are. Bear with me while I move these. We've all seen, you know, a search. You do a search in Google and you get these results. Okay, this Midtown Animal Hospital, where this comes from is right here. This is the title. So whatever you type in here shows up here. And what you want to do is have it be accurate. You want it to be truthful. This one is actually kind of an anomaly because most of the titles don't have, you know, they're quite not so keywordy. You know, they actually have like a little bit of sentence. So, Midtown Animal Hospital, Sacramento, California, veterinary services about us. Or, for example, contact us. Midtown Animal Hospital, Sacramento, California, contact us and driving directions. To find out what your titles look like, you can go into Google, type in site, colon, and then your domain name, and hit enter. And you'll see how it shows up. What you want to do is you want to have them go over as much as possible because it's free real estate here. Midtown Animal Hospital, hospital policies, you know, this is perfect. Surgical FAQs, we could probably work on this one. And there it is, Midtown Animal Hospital, Sacramento, California. So maybe just Google hasn't seen that yet. If you change your title, have the name of the practice, your location, and what the page is about. And then what you will do is you'll increase your chances of someone clicking on it. Notice that this is less real estate. This part right here that says menu, than this one. Or this one up here. It's easier to click. Not just that, but these are big words. I mean, like the actual font is bigger for these than for the text that's in green and the text that's in black. So use that to your advantage. Put in there, you know, precisely what that page is about. You know, indoor boarding. You know, luxurious pet kennels. You know, whatever it is that you're trying to get across to people. And so. Okay, so now that we've got the titles, we've got the content, I'm going to pause for a second and kind of talk about some bigger things. So all that we've described here is on-site SEO. In other words, these are things that you do on your website to change its SEO. SEO is actually split up into two main areas. There is the on-site SEO, which takes care of all the stuff that we've described here, your titles, your content, the image tags, and things like that. Then there's off-site SEO. Now, off-site SEO has to do with how your site appears on a search engine. So, for example, if we do this one, I think they're 95, yeah. This is one of many graders out there that sort of grade your online presence. Moz does a lot of stuff for the search engine community. They sell products, training, documentation, etc. We don't really have an official relationship with them. It's just this interface is really easy to use. Our partners in VinX, the eVetSites folks, they also have something like this. But you have to log in using their stuff, and I don't want to log into a client's account on this. That's why I'm using this. And basically what offsite SEO is, it's all about the stuff that's outside of your web page, all the outside factors. So for example, links that are connecting to your website. So you've got, and right now the doctor is doing great. They're at 81%. They have an arbitrary list of different search engines, social media sites, directories, yellow page type listings, review pages, that, and then they give you a score depending on how many of these we show up. So you have, so what's going on here is they're showing up well for Google, super pages, insider pages, city search, and then it looks like there's a little bit of inconsistencies on the YP. There's no website there. So, and notice also that there's a different phone number. See how they've got this weird number here, but this one has something. So using this site, you can go in and fix these sorts of things. It's, again, this is an arbitrary selection of these different pages. There's other sites out there. For example, and let me put this in here before I forget. If anyone has any questions, please stop me. All right, so there's the moz.com. Here's another site. And these folks, of course, again, HubSpot, they're kind of a marketing firm. They do these things with directories. But they've actually put on a pretty good list. And this is 50 online local business directories and listings for local marketing. Notice that some of these, which I would have thought would have been on the other one, don't appear. Angie's List, Better Business Bureau, Yahoo, you would have thought that those would have appeared on the other one, but they don't. And so you can, if you wanted to, start at the top and work your way down. Now you may ask, well, how do I even do that? Well, here's how it works. If you don't have a presence on, like, for example, I don't know, Hot Frog. You click here, and then you would add your business. Some of these, every once in a great while, you'll encounter one that requires folks to, to charge you. If that's the case, just ignore it. You shouldn't have to do that. The other part of it is that there will be some where you have to, they'll make you pay to expedite the process. Again, you don't have to do that either. You can, in most cases, you can fill it out and have confirmation via a phone call or a postcard and not have to pay a cent. Google is like that. Bing is like that. Facebook is like that. There's really no need for that. Same with Yelp. All those major review sites. So don't ever pay for anything. Most of these are free. If there's one that isn't, you can ignore it. And how it works again is it's going to be something like this. You fill out your name. You have to pick a login. What I tell folks is to grab a little notepad, create a username and password, kind of a master list. I know you're not supposed to write down your passwords, but because there's so many things to do and to remember, this really will help. And let me give you an example. I've got a couple of clients right now. One that started last year, and so I have these folks here. They started. There's a pair of doctors. They went and started a new practice, new building. Completely. We started at 0%. Because this is a brand new practice. And last year around January, they called me and they said, Jose, hey, we're getting started. How do we get our name out there? And this is how we did it. Now, notice that they still have some inconsistencies here, but look how high they've gone up. So, if we're to do a search for, they're doing great. If we do, Let's do that one and see where they show up. Look, they're showing up number 2 on the maps. They're showing number 2 on the search results, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it makes me feel really good, you know, as a tech, as someone who's here to help veterinarians, to see this push come forward. Now, to set some expectations, this didn't happen overnight. This happened over the course of a couple of months. You know, several months happened, a lot of phone calls, and so that's why, even though we like to do these kind of you know, these mass meetings where we kind of speak to a few different doctors at a time, we really enjoy doing the one-on-one. And so I urge you all to, if you haven't already, you know, just give me a call after the meeting's over, you know, or just message me. I'll see the responses here if anyone has questions, and then, you know, we can help you out. Okay, I see a question in here. How does Google rank the map? I'm in between towns. Okay, excellent question. All right, so someone in the chat window just asked, you know, her practice is in between towns. How does she rank? If you notice, these are what's called the organic search results. These are the you know, the real results that happen when you do a Google search, and these are the map results. They are different. You know, Google uses different criteria for both of these things. For the organic results, what Google does is they worry about the content. They worry about how many times a search term appears. They worry about the formatting, you know, all that sort of stuff that we touched on earlier in the conversation. With the map, they use those factors, but they really give rank to just your straight-up location. So if like right here, I did Exeter, New Hampshire, and so I'm assuming that Exeter's somewhere in the middle here, because here's this, and then here are these guys. Stratham, Newfields is kind of way out here. You notice that they are down at the bottom. So your actual physical location relative to the city center is a huge determinant in where you show up for map results. The other thing, and this one's a tough one because you know, it goes down another little wormhole, is the type of reviews that you have. So if you have more reviews and they're favorable reviews, you'll rank higher than somebody else. It makes sense if you stop and think about it. I know that sometimes you think, oh gosh, well we just started out, or you know, it's hard to get people to do the reviews. But put on your consumer hat and think about what it is that you want when you do a search for sandwich or pizza or burrito or whatever, and then you see a lot of good reviews versus, you know, some bad reviews. You know, I'm not going to be doing too much travel this year, but last year I did a couple of trips for veterinary conferences. I remember I came across a place in Fort Worth that the staff was described as aloof, but other people said, you know, hey, the food's fantastic. So I risked it. I went in, and after 10 minutes of seeing a waiter just wander around and kind of ignore me, I was like, you know what, that review was kind of warranted. And when he finally came over, hey, sorry, you know, I have your water. I was like, no, it's fine. And I just got up and left. So thank you. You know, sometimes the reviews help, sometimes they don't, but you want to give some sort of what they're trying to do, what Google's trying to do is trying to help us as consumers get to these different things. And so what you can do is you can set up on your website a way to have people do reviews, and then that way they can go ahead and say nice things. So for example, with these folks, what I did is I put this Google Plus reviews button on here. We gently kind of said, we welcome your kind words. Now, you can't do it, you know, you can't do a quid pro quo. We can't ask people, hey, leave a nice review and we'll give you something, but you can certainly ask folks for kind feedback. And then with this button, you just click on it and post the thing. Here's me, you know, I'm ready to leave a thing, which I can't because that would not be ethical or true. You know, I'm in Northern California. I'm nowhere near New Hampshire, but this is how we can make it easy for people. We can make it easy for you by adding in this button that kind of just eliminates that process. And you know, that's really what SEO and web design is all about, is trying to get that information to people and simplifying the steps. You don't want to tell somebody, hey, you know, yeah, go to Google, type in our address. When the second window pops up, you click on the submit the review, then you log in. No, just put the button there. Make it simple for them. Make it as easy as possible for them to either contact you or leave a review or whatever. Okay, so to tie into some of this, this video just came out from Google. I urge everyone to see it. It's a video on how to hire an SEO, you know, a search engine optimization specialist. I'm going to go ahead and put this link in as well. One of the things that's great about this video is they talk about the timeline, or the, you know, setting the expectation for when those results will happen. I mentioned to you that with the folks from Epping Road, it took a bit for them to, you know, get up to speed. You know, 4 months. You know, I think it was, honestly, it was about 3 months before we started to see the needle really start moving. And somewhere in this video, let me see here. You know, I'm not going to find it, of course, when I'm on the phone with you guys. But there is, it talks about what to expect from, you know, you hiring a search engine optimization person. And even if you don't, even if you're just going to do it all on your own, it still has some great tips on the timeline for things. They mention, you know, from starting from scratch to seeing any sort of movement, it's anywhere from 4 months to a year. So they're being very, very conservative. You know, I was telling people, you know, anywhere from from a couple of months to 3 months. And that's with somebody that's really dedicated. They're putting in the work. You know, they're submitting their site to search engines. They're following up with me, and we have this ongoing process happening. You know, one way or another, whether you do it, whether a practice manager does it, whether a you know, a front desk person does it, whether you hire someone, that if you want to see the results, you have to put the work in. There is no shortcut. There's no magic button. There's no magic keywords that we just kind of put on there and watch it just rocket to zero. And then, you know, at the beginning of all of this, there has to be that conversation. We'd love it to be with us, because then we can kind of give you a feel for it, as you've seen in the video, or as we've seen in this conversation that we're having now. A lot of it isn't technical, but it does. We do need to find out from you. I mean, number one, what it is that you want to rank for. I get folks that call me and they're like, yeah, well, I want to be number one. Well, for what? Well, you know, on Google. Well, you know, we need to know. So, for example, maybe somebody wants to, you know, show up for Midtown acupuncture. Well, here's where you can do this. Or how about, and then we can find out these different places, right? So it's all about, we need to know what it is that you're going to show up for, so then we can start, you know, putting that content on the page and starting to make some changes that'll push you forward. Okay. While I'm talking about Google, let me go ahead and I mentioned Google Webmaster tools. In addition to the great help that they have, you know, on the actual product, their documentation is awesome. I can't recommend this enough. It just straight up tells you this is what you want to do. So, for example, I want Google search to updated, you know, the a page. Maybe you've updated a site. There's been a staff change. Somebody left because they're going to college, or somebody retired, someone had a baby, whatever the case. I mean, there's a million different reasons for staff changes, but you want to reflect the latest one. Here they give you step by step how you can go ahead and do it. If you ever get, if you ever get stuck and you need me to do it, just let me know. Support at eVetSites.com. I'll be glad to go ahead and make that change for you. But the other thing is they tell you, how to search at Google, and there's all sorts of stuff where you don't have to worry about. There's a lot of shady information out there. This right here will tell you, some good stuff. That it's exactly what it is that you have to do to do that. And so you can, how to remove pages, stuff to appear, what's a cached version, just really great information. Urge you all to go in there and dig through. Like I said, I put these links on here, and you can certainly, if you have any more questions, you can ask me. I'll be glad to help. If there's one thing that I would recommend everyone read, this Webmaster Guidelines is probably the main one, and because this tells you how to put the site together. So, for example, these are the things that they want. These are the guidelines that they want. How to help Google find the pages. So, for example, original content, right? What things that you shouldn't do. So these are all things that you can do, and you don't have to pay a cent for this. Again, doing the changes on your site, you don't have to pay anything. Well, I mean, you're paying us for the site, but to go in there to edit it and to change the titles and to call us, there's no extra charge for any of that. There's no extra charge for the SEO consults or for follow-up. And I have follow-ups with a lot of my clients where we'll start working on something and then we'll come back to them. There's another couple of folks. Let me see if I can find it here. They have and they are in Florida. Let's see, is it this one? They went from having a brick and mortar practice to now a house call practice. So this is a husband and wife couple. They're a husband and wife team, and they go out to the residences of their clients, and they're starting from zero. And we're almost to the 50% mark. I'll be really happy when we get to that point. We've been working on this since December, October, December, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but we definitely could get some more work done. There's been some issues, and it's a little slower. If there was some more consistency and we could follow up with them some more, if we could certainly get up higher. As you can see, there's a lot of blank spaces here. There's a lot of inconsistencies here because there's this other old practice here, and there's a little bit of duplication happening also right here. So if you have questions about this, if you see some listings that are incorrect, do let me know. We can fix those sorts of things. It's not like there's no hope or anything like that. We can fix all that sort of stuff. And again, there's no extra charge for anything. This is all free. Anyone have any questions about what I've covered so far? Okay. All right. So Now that we've covered some on-site SEO, we've talked about off-site SEO, and I think we've sort of touched on how to change the content and things that we can do. There's always more, people always ask, well, what else can I do on the site? What else can I add? Prioritizing your content is one part of it, and this is something that I try to really impress upon folks. Everything that you've got up here, if you've taken the time to do it, is important. But sometimes we need to put your site together in a way that makes more sense for search engines. In other words, the concept is called a silo. It's kind of like a grain silo or a wheat silo or things that you've got for these different foods. This right here would be the About Us silo. It's got everything to do that's about us. And here is a services silo where everything has to do with the services. You may want to set up, think about, one big heading that you're going to have, and then put everything underneath that one so you have the least amount of menus up here. If you notice, and it doesn't matter if you've got the navigation on the left or on the top side, you want to still keep this down. I'd love to, again, I don't want to put Epping Road on blast. I love these ladies. They're very kind. But I would get rid of all these because it's kind of distracting having the two things. Also, about your pet site, we've got a pet sites login right here. So I would say maybe I would put this under services or a resource, right? Submit review. Again, this is right here. So I don't know that we necessarily have that one. And then, hospital reviews, having the two, maybe I'd have another heading where people go under. You can. These things are very subjective. So when I'm forced to make the decision, and people say, "Well, Jose, I just need to get started," it's kind of like organizing stuff. I'm really bad at this sort of stuff, and my wife is fantastic. So, we'll go through the attic and I'll get it down a box. What's this junk? Oh, this is some old BMX magazines of mine. Okay, well, put the stuff you want to throw away in this pile. And I'm like, no, this stuff, this stuff's valuable. So you make 3 piles: the keep, throw away, and the donate. And that makes it a little easier, right? Because if you know it's going to someone, yeah, I know a friend that can use this, or I've got 2 of these, so I'll give one to a buddy down the road. Well, we can't give away pages, but we can certainly, we can ask ourselves, can I put this somewhere else? What's the most important thing? All of the stuff's important, but what is the most pressing? What's the content that absolutely must be seen first? Things like requesting an appointment, contacting the practice, this is definitely important. Now, does the submit review fall under contact? I think it does, because this is, where you can go ahead and generate these things. So if this were me and I were in charge of the site, I would move this under here, and under the testimonials, I would put the hospital reviews. Because there's a little bit of duplication here. There's these, and then there's these right here, which again come from the folks at Pet Sites. Now it looks like they haven't set these up, so that reminds me that I should probably go in there and ask them about that. So how you build your page is as important as the content that's on there. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not as important, but it is a huge part of it, because number one, you've got humans and machines that are coming to your website, and how they find that content depends on how you have it laid out. So if on your home page you have people come in and then they go straight to these different things, I would lead them to the About Us, and then the About Us, hopefully it would then link to these other pages. So you see again how we've got these links here. You go to the About Us page, and then it takes you to Dr. Cornell. At this point, I would then maybe put like a Contact Us, so it goes to the Contact Us page. Ideally, all these pages have a link. so that then Google can find them. And this is something that Google themselves, again, they tell us this is how they rank these sorts of things. Let me switch sites really quick. Nope. I'm just going to pick one at random. All right, so we'll look at these folks, and I'm inside of Google Webmaster Tools. And if we look at search traffic, we see that they have information on the links to your site, which are, again, Offsite SEO. And look at all these different pages. The Modesto Bee, Vet Locator, Yellow Pages, Nub Search, Nextdoor, all these different things, Nextdoor. Oh wow, I wonder what that one's about. I wonder if it's a recommendation. Hopefully it's a nice recommendation. So these are the off-site links, but then these are the internal links. So Google gives a lot of credence to the links that are on your site. So if you have these pages being connected, it makes it easy for these programs to find the rest of the website. And you want every page to count, because every page does count. Every page on your website has content that will kind of count towards the cumulative grading that Google gives to a domain. If you have pages that are isolated, if you have pages that are cut off, if you have a site structure that isn't well connected, you won't rank as well. You're not using the site to the complete potential. So make sure that you have your sites built in a way so that there is a connection. So here, again, I would set it to contact us. The contact us is sort of this main page where you've got these different things. You can request an appointment, do a review, go to their Facebook, or just give them a call. And I think that if you have that information in there for all these different pages, let's look here at resources, pet food recalls. This is kind of a little widget that we've got from Vin. But you're pretty much, it just ends there. What you can do is you can always link, and if you're in doubt as to where you want to send folks, contact us, I think, would be a great one, because that's the jumping off point for people making that decision whether or not they're going to go ahead and bring an animal in to get looked at. Okay, so we've covered quite a bit of topics, and I want to make sure that no one else has any questions. And if you think of questions afterwards, again, support at eVetSites.com, or you can just give us a call. We'll be glad to help. Something else you'd like to share? Here's a question. How much do SEOs charge? There's quite a bit of a range of that. And again, where's that YouTube video? I would strongly recommend everyone on this call go to that YouTube video that I showed earlier about how to hire an SEO. Highly recommend everyone on this call go and watch it, because it talks about a little bit about the different things here. And this is an important thing that they're talking about, the search audit. In other words, how can they actually track what they're doing? So when I talk to folks at the beginning of the call, we'll say, well, what do you want to rank for? I need, Jose, I need to show up for Pittsburgh and Avian. Okay, let's get to work. We talk about, the things that we can do. We go through, and then we search in Google Webmaster Tools to kind of see where we're ranking. If you're hiring an SEO, you want them to be able to at least document the improvements and the changes that you're doing. Just like you do to your clients, and you say, hey, let's bring this animal back and see how that wound is doing. Let's see if the stitches are coming out, or if it's gotten infected again, or whatever the case may be. You at least have some sort of broad milestones to sort of check up on things. And so the price is important, how much folks are going to charge you for things, but really check to see, how they document it, and you can ask people. The video will talk a little bit about that. But again, and I'm not discouraging anyone from going out to hire an SEO. All I'm saying is let us, try to at least have a conversation with us so that we can do one, and you'll see, even if this webinar doesn't kind of clear things up, when we're doing things one-on-one and we're logged into your particular website, I think that'll help dispel some of the myths, and you can see that you can do quite a bit of this yourself, and save yourself quite a bit of money, because the SEO folks will range in price depending on how they charge, whether it's like a monthly fee. Everyone does things differently, so I can't even give like a ballpark figure. There's people that are just starting out. There's folks that are professionals. It's a huge range, and it all depends on what you're trying to get done. So I'm sorry for giving kind of a non-answer on that one. It really does depend. It's kind of like Google AdWords. We get asked a lot about Google AdWords and whether or not they're worth it. Well, it depends. By and large, I've seen that for large metropolitan areas, it's a little bit more worth it than for folks in rural areas, simply because of the number of people available. Someplace in Midtown Manhattan, different demographic, large amount of people. It's different than like maybe somebody in Waco, Texas, or somewhere really outside, in rural California, Wairika or something, where there's not such a big population density, and just a different demographic. But we can talk about that too if we do that. Running out of time here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you everyone for showing up, and for everyone else just watching this on YouTube, thank you for that as well. Invite everyone here to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/eVetSites. We're also on Twitter, twitter.com/eVetSites, and we are on Instagram. I see a lot of pictures of airplane wings as we travel here and fro. We'd love to follow you back and interact with our clients. Love to see how everyone's doing. And if you have any questions, again, let us know. We'll be glad to help. All right. Thanks again for showing up. Appreciate everyone, and you have a great day.